Hey everybody, welcome back to the SuperBake podcast. I'm your host, Baker. Let's talk about stuff. Man, Shadow of the Erd Tree released Friday, and I mean, it's been getting pretty much outstanding reviews, I think, from most people. I'm really on the fence about getting it. On the one hand, I loved Elden Ring. I think that's one of the few games that I put more than 100 hours into. I don't remember what level I was. I want to say I was at least level 120, which I think is the recommended level going into the DLC, but I'm really on the fence about getting the new DLC. On the one hand, it does look awesome. I am really excited for it, and I love Elden Ring. But on the other hand, I've been hearing that it is brutal in terms of difficulty. Like, I've been seeing reviews and people have been saying that it has just been kicking their asses. I guess supposedly, like, you have to beat Moog and Radon before you can even access it. I guess that's a requirement, which that right there, I think, tells me everything I need to know in terms of going into it. Although, from what I remember, like, I've beaten virtually all the bosses in Elden Ring, including Melania, but from what I remember, Moog took me a while to get through. Radon, I think I beat my first or second try. He's not that bad if you use like the summons that are around the area, but if you try to fight him solo, at least in my experience, he's pretty difficult. Like, he'll just stomp your ass into the ground. He's just got these really long combos that for me were hard to memorize. Like, I'm not a pro at that game by any stretch, so for me, using the summons it just made sense. Moog took me a while, because I remember fighting him and that stupid blood curse thing that he does. Like, I know there's like an amulet or a trinket you have to get to kind of counter that, which that helped a lot, but I remember even with like the Mimic tier summon, that guy was still really freaking tough. It took me quite a few tries to beat him. Although, though, I remember the weapon you get for him, the Trident, you get to use his blood curse on enemies, and that attack is pretty insane. Just the blood loss in that game is just, or whatever that condition's called, that status effect, it's like just so overpowered, or at least it used to be. It's been well over a year since I touched that game, so I don't know if they've nerfed that or not, but I'm going to keep an eye on Shadow of the Erd Tree. What I may do is just wait for it to go on sale before I pick it up, but I'm definitely on the fence right now about that. But anyways, on the topic of video games, today I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Direct, which premiered earlier this week. Quite a few pretty exciting announcements for it, so I'm going to go into those. I'm not going to talk about every single thing that was announced, just because a lot of them are games or series that I'm not that interested in, so I'm mainly just going to stick to some of the highlights for me personally. There's lists out there. If you're interested in it, you can go in and watch it too. It's available on YouTube now, so if you want to see the event, you can check it out for yourself. These are just going to be mostly the titles that caught my attention for one reason or another. So now let's get into it, and this is not in any particular order. This is just the order in which I saw them in the premiere. So first and foremost, I do want to talk about, there was the announcement for the new Mario and Luigi game called Brothership, which comes out November 7th of this year. Man, it has just been the year for Mario RPGs. We got the remake of Super Mario RPG on the Switch, which came out last November, I think. And then we got the remake for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and now we've got, and it's not a remake, it is a brand new Mario and Luigi game. This one, it looks like it takes place, like they're on kind of like what looks like a giant ship in a sense, and they're traveling across different islands, and you see in the trailer they're blasting off to different islands and exploring them, and each island looks like it kind of has like its own unique environment. Kind of makes me think of like a cross between Wind Waker and One Piece in a way. I really dig that aspect of it. I love the look of the game too. It has almost kind of like that comic book look to it. I've only played the first Mario and Luigi game on the SP. I really liked it a lot. I really dug that game, but I haven't played any of the others. Like, I haven't played Bowser's Inside Story. There was another one where it was like a crossover with Paper Mario, I think. I never really touched that one either. So the first one is the only one that I ever played, and it's been a long time. I never played the others, but I know that they're a beloved series. I think this is the first time we've gotten a new Mario and Luigi game in like, I want to say like maybe close to a decade. So I was excited to see this. I don't think anyone was expecting this, and I know I certainly wasn't. So yeah, November 7th, that's the release date. This one looks really, really interesting, so I'm definitely going to check that game out when that comes out for sure. Like, I just really dig Mario RPGs, so any excuse to play another one is definitely all I need. Next game I want to talk about just very briefly, it was called Looney Tunes Wacky World Sports. Comes out fall of this year. Now this isn't necessarily a game that I want to pick up, but when I saw it, it reminded me of there was this old game I played that I used to rent from Blockbuster. It was Looney Tunes, or not Looney Tunes, it was Tiny Toons. And it was essentially the same thing. It was you play as your favorite Tiny Toons characters and you play against each other in different sports like soccer, basketball, football, and all that stuff. And this is basically the same premise. You play as Looney Tunes characters like Bugs Bunny, Daffy, Porky, Daz, all those characters in different sports. But it made me think of that old game from the Tiny Toons game. I can't remember what it was called, but I remember I rented it from Blockbuster like so many times because I was just obsessed with it. And this kind of gives me like flashbacks of that game in a sense. Again, it's not one that I'm really interested in playing. It just looked interesting. I wanted to bring it up because it made me think of that game. If anybody out there remembers what that game was called, like I'm too lazy to look it up right now, but if anybody out there remembers what that game was called, like let me know because I'm kind of curious about that. But yeah, it comes out in the fall, so I mean, I guess if you're a big fan of Tiny Toons, might be something worth looking into. For me personally, it's not really something that I'm particularly interested in. Another game that I saw in the event that I wanted to talk about just very briefly was one called Tales of the Shire, which comes out again the holiday season of this year. So it looks like it's supposed to be sort of like a Animal Crossing type game, but with the Lord of the Rings paint on it, basically. Like it's in the Shire. You play as a hobbit, and I guess the premise is you basically live in Hobbiton or whatever it's called, and you do things like you cook food, you converse with like your neighbors, like other hobbits that live there with you. It looks like even Gandalf or at least some kind of wizard has an appearance in the game. And basically it's just sort of a, I guess, like slice of life type game. There's not really much of at least from what I gathered, there's not really much of an objective. Like you're not fighting villains or anything like that. You're basically just kind of living each day and just doing what you want. Again, kind of like Animal Crossing, like there's not really much of a narrative or an objective. You just kind of do what you want. Those kind of games can be fun. This isn't one that I'm incredibly interested in, but I just wanted to note, like, I'm not crazy about how the game looks. The way the characters look remind me of like the avatars you see on like Facebook, the ones that people use whenever they're wishing their friends like a happy birthday. Like I see them all the time on Facebook, and that's what the characters in the character models look like to me. Like, I don't know, just they're not what I expect when I think of like Lord of the Rings characters and like hobbits. Like I guess I was expecting something a little bit more, I don't know, not realistic, but I would have been cool if it was like maybe like that the original Hobbit film from like the 70s, the animated one, like that animation style. Like if it was something kind of like that, or maybe something close to it, I think that would have been a little bit more interesting. But yeah, this style, just like the characters look like almost plasticky. I'm not crazy about how they look. They don't make me think of hobbits. It just looks like regular people to me. So I don't know. I'm not too keen on like the look of the game. I mean, I like the idea of playing as hobbits and just kind of going about the Shire, just doing what you want and just having a relaxing experience. That idea to me sounds pretty cool. I'm just not really super into the rest of it. Like the look of the game is not something that I'm super invested in. So yeah, again, kind of like the Looney Tunes game, I highly doubt this is one that I end up checking out personally. I mean, if anyone out there gets this game and wants to let me know about it on my channel, feel free to. But yeah, this one's, I mean, I guess I'll keep it on my radar in case it actually does well, but I'm not expecting much out of this. Next thing I saw was that Donkey Kong Country Returns is getting a remake. Comes out January of 2025. I haven't played a Donkey Kong game in a long time. I feel like the last one I played, I didn't play Tropical Freeze, but I know a lot of people who really enjoyed it. The last one I played, I think, was on the Super Nintendo system way back in the day, which, really enjoyed the Donkey Kong games. I played the first, second, and third one, I believe. I don't remember if I played any more after that. I played Donkey Kong 64. I remember liking that game as a kid, but I'm sure if I went back and played it now, it probably wouldn't hold up as well as, say, like other platformers like Banjo-Kazooie, but I remember liking it just fine. But this looks like it goes back to like the old school trademark look of the Donkey Kong series. I like the idea that, like, in the trailer, I like how Diddy Kong is basically just kind of like, he's piggyback riding on Donkey Kong, and he even kind of like runs on him when Donkey Kong's rolling. So I like that aspect of it, that little mechanic. That's pretty cool. It was cool seeing the Rhino again from the, what's his name, Rambi from the original game. I like him as well. He was always one of my favorite like animals that you got to control from the original series. So it was cool seeing him in this game. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I dug it. I like the look of it. I might check this out maybe at some point in 2025. So we'll see if, we'll see how that looks. But yeah, I mean, that one definitely looked interesting to me. Next up, and this one I think was a lot more exciting for me personally, we finally got a definitive trailer and release date for Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Man, that title it's a weird title. Yeah, so they've been hinting at this for what, like a few years now? We got like a teaser trailer for it, like, I want to say it was back in like 2021 or something like that. It was years ago. And we hadn't heard anything else since then. And then we got like kind of the same thing for Dragon Quest 12. We got like a teaser trailer essentially showing the title, and that's it. We didn't get anything else. So it was nice to finally get actual footage of it. We got gameplay footage. The game just looks freaking gorgeous. I love that HD 2D look, that aesthetic. The one that, it was made popular by like Octopath Traveler, and we've seen it a lot, like the is it Live Alive or Live Alive? We saw in the remake for that one, and then Octopath 2, like in Triangle Strategy, like that style is definitely, it seems like it's becoming more and more popular. So I'm glad to see it being used for the Dragon Quest remake. So this is really exciting. I'd actually like to see it for like other like Final Fantasy games too. Like if Tactics ever got a remake, or some of the older Final Fantasy games, that'd be really cool if they got this treatment. But yeah, we actually got a release date. It comes out November 14th of this year. So yeah, I will 100% pick this up day one. I haven't played a new Dragon Quest game since 11, so this is definitely exciting. I love Dragon Quest. And then also, on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, they announced that there's going to be a remake for Dragon Quest 1 and 2, which is supposed to come out in 2025. There's no release date on that officially, but the fact that it's coming out next year, hopefully it means it's not going to be too far off. But yeah, I mean, we actually got a release date for that as well. And it was funny, when I was watching the premiere for this, when they showed the trailer for 3, it ends with like that really cool illustration of the main character for Dragon Quest 3. They play that awesome orchestral music in the background, and then it kind of just kept going, and I was thinking like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why are they holding on this? And then sure enough, they show the two main characters from Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and then that's when they announced that there was going to be another one. So this is awesome. I was talking with my buddies about this because I don't know much about the Dragon Quest like story, the overall story. Because we were talking about that and we were like, why the hell are they doing 3 first? And then I looked into it a little bit more, and I guess 3 is actually a prequel to 1 and 2. So actually, in chronological order, it's 3, 1, and 2. So, okay, in that sense, it does actually add up that they would make 3 first and then 1 and 2 afterwards. So, okay, yeah, before anybody out there screams at me about that, just want to make sure I clear that up. So yeah, I do know now that 3 chronologically is the first game in the series. What the hell was that? My light bulb like clicked or something. That doesn't sound good. I'll have to check that out. Light bulbs don't normally click, right, while they're on? I'm not an electrician. I have no idea. Okay. I have no idea if the microphone picked that up, but like it like made a clicking sound. So hope it doesn't blow up on me. Well, in case I died in the middle of this podcast, in case my light bulb explodes and catches everything on fire, just want to get this out there before that happens. So next up in the lineup, Luigi's Mansion 2 comes out June 27th, so this next upcoming week. I'm probably going to pick this up. I didn't play it when it was originally on the 3DS, so this will be my chance to check this game out. I liked the first one for the GameCube. It's been a long time since I played it, but I remember really enjoying that game. I think that was like one of the first titles for that console when it came out. Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch was fantastic. I loved that game. Just the aesthetic of it, the writing was great. Just kind of the cartoony zaniness of everything. Like, I love the humor of the ghosts, all the different ghosts you run into, and just how they're constantly just screwing with Luigi. It's just everything about it. It's so charming. I can't help but love it. And just I like Luigi as a character. I like it when he's the main character in a game. So I've always really enjoyed the Luigi's Mansion titles. So this one looks really, really good. I'm excited to play it. You can kind of tell looking at it that it is an older game with like a new coat of paint slapped onto it. Like, it looks good for the most part, but like just some of the character movements look a little bit choppy. It definitely, it was originally on the 3DS. you can kind of tell, like I can tell just like looking at character movements, especially like in Luigi's face, like when he blinks and stuff. It like the movement doesn't look quite as fluid as it does in Luigi's Mansion 3. So, but of course, 3 was made on like for the Switch, and it was a later title on the Switch console. So, I guess going from 3 to this game where the graphics, while still looking pretty impressive, there's definitely that noticeable drop in quality. I don't know if that's going to be distracting, but graphics aren't a huge sticking point for me, so I'm not that worried about it. But yeah, this one I'm excited about. I'll definitely check it out for sure when that comes out. Next up on the docket, we have Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which comes out September 26th of this year. So, there were rumors circulating that there was going to be a Zelda game that was going to be in the same vein as Link's Awakening, which I have played. It came out a few years ago, which I really dug that game, the remake of the original. And yeah, this one, it's the same style. It's that top-down kind of 2D looking game. The characters almost look like little toy figures that have come to life, which I like that aspect of it. It kind of has this plasticky look, but it's very stylized, so I don't mind too much. So it's the same style as that. In the trailer, we see Link fighting Ganondorf, and then he gets sucked into this weird little portal thing in the ground, and then he frees Zelda from this crystal. She escapes from the castle before that portal can suck her in, and then it's revealed that she's the main character, and you actually get to play as her. And her abilities in this one, unlike Link in other games, she doesn't really use a sword and shield. Instead, she gets this staff, and she uses these things called echoes, which allow her to make copies of just about anything she comes into contact with. Like, it shows in the trailer that she makes copies of like tables, and she can stack them on top of each other, and she can use that to create sort of like a makeshift staircase to access higher points on the map, like cliffs that she couldn't do before. You can use it to create like bids that I think you can rest in. You can use it to create even monsters to fight for you. So that's interesting. In that respect, it almost kind of looks like it might have a little bit of a Pokemon aesthetic to it. The fact that you can like capture monsters to fight for you. I don't know if you can create like an infinite number of them. I would assume that there's probably like a limit to how much you can create in one go, because otherwise she'd just be stupid overpowered. But yeah, that mechanic, I'm not gonna lie, I dig that. I like the fact that the Zelda series is definitely doing a lot of it feels like they're experimenting a lot more in recent games. Like we saw that in Breath of the Wild, but especially in Tears of the Kingdom with the fuse ability and all that stuff. That was really cool. And yeah, like in this one, it kind of feels like they're doing that more, just with the fact that not just Zelda's abilities, but also the fact that you're playing as Zelda in this one, which makes the title of the game feel a little bit more appropriate. I remember when I was a kid and I was playing Ocarina of Time for the N64, and my parents were watching me play because I got it for like Christmas, and they were asking me, because I was playing the game, and they were asking me what the title of the game was, and I remember I was trying to explain it to them, and they were getting confused because I was saying like, yeah, this is Legend of Zelda, and they were just like, okay, well, so is that Zelda you're playing? And I was like, no, that's Link. And like, well, where's Zelda? Well, she's been kidnapped. I'm trying to save her. And like, well, then if you're playing as Link, why isn't the game called Link? I was like, because it's freaking Zelda. Like, get out of here. Away witches. I don't need yous here. But yeah, this game looks really, it reminds me a lot of Link's Awakening. I don't know if it's supposed to be in that same time period, or if it's supposed to be like in a different version of Hyrule. But I'll definitely be picking this up. Any Zelda title I'm always on board with. So excited for this one. Next up, we have, this one really caught me by surprise. It's a new Lego game, and it is Horizon, like Horizon Zero Dawn with Aloy. It's that character, it's that world, but with the Lego aesthetic. Okay. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't like the look of it. I love Legos, and even though I haven't played a Lego game in a long time, I do remember enjoying them quite a bit, like the Star Wars games, the Indiana Jones games. Like, they're fun. I just didn't. This is such a weird combination to me. I'm still trying to like figure out like where this idea came from. This had to be like when they first talked about Kingdom Hearts, like bringing Final Fantasy and Disney characters together. Like, that initial conversation had to be really weird. Like, they were like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not going to work. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm going to pick this up, but looks interesting, I guess, if nothing else. I mean, it comes out, again, holiday season, like the other two games I mentioned before, the Shire game and Looney Tunes. So, I mean, I'll keep it on my radar in case it gets good reviews. I do like the Horizon games. I played the first one. I have not played Forbidden West yet. I do plan on it. I do have my copy on the PS5, so at some point I'm going to get to it. I just don't know when. I got way too many games in my backlog. And then finally, the big reveal at the end of the Direct was they officially gave a trailer for Metroid Prime 4, which has the title Beyond in this one. So we finally got to see it. Confirmation that the game actually is real, it does exist, and we even got to see some brief gameplay footage for it. There's no official release date yet, it just says 2025. That was a date they gave, so there's some speculation that this is going to be most likely like a launch title, or at least a dual title that's going to be on the next Nintendo console, which I think is going to be the Switch 2. So this is probably going to be, if I had to guess, a launch title for the Switch 2, but it'll still be playable on the Switch. Looking at the trailer, we don't get a whole lot from it. We get some brief gameplay footage. It's first person. We see Samus go up against some enemies. It looks like she runs into, I think his name is Silex. I think that's the villain. We see him revealed at the very end of the trailer. We don't really get a whole lot beyond that. We don't get to see a whole lot of like Samus's movesets beyond her just shooting out of her hand cannon. But yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. It looks like it's going to be. It definitely looks like something that's going to run on the Nintendo Switch too. That was something that I noticed watching the trailer. Like looking at the trailer and just the footage. It's hard to imagine a game that looks that good running on the Switch. Like, the Switch is capable for the most part, but it can't hold a candle to, like, the PlayStation and Xbox in terms of processing power. And this game definitely looked, number one, very polished. The graphics definitely looked like something, at least to me, that you would expect to see in an Xbox or PlayStation title. And it also looked like it was running at a pretty smooth 60 frames per second or close to it. So it's hard to imagine something like that running on the Switch. So I'm curious if this was Switch 2 footage that we were seeing, but maybe just Nintendo didn't reveal that to anybody. It's very possible. I'll probably check this out. So, full disclosure, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I've never played a Metroid game in my life. I know. Everybody's very disappointed in me. You know, they were always one of those games, like that game series that like I was aware of it, but it never grabbed me. And it's not that I ever had a problem with it. I had tons of friends that loved Metroid, but I just never played them. I think the original Metroid Prime came out on the 64, and then 2 came out on GameCube, and then 3 was on the Wii, I believe. And now we've got the 4th one, but yeah, it was one of those series I never got into. And it's weird because Samus was always one of my favorite characters to play as in all the Smash Bros. Games, but I just never played the games that she was known for. You know, I mean, and I don't know, like, I'm kind of curious, do I need to play the first 3 before I play this game, or can I just watch, like, some YouTube videos of the story and just kind of brush up on it? I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I wanted to play Dread really bad, but I never got into it because I heard it was pretty difficult, like, pretty brutally difficult, and I had other games to play, so I just never really picked it up. I'd like to at some point, but I don't know, maybe this will be my chance to give the Metroid series maybe a shot, maybe just try to brush up on the story a little bit. I mean, I'm sure there's like some movie footage or cutscene footage on YouTube that I can watch that somebody's spliced together. So, but yeah, I mean, we finally got even though we don't have a definitive release date, like a specific one, at least we know it's supposed to come out next year, 2025, so we got to wait a little bit longer for it. I know a lot of longtime fans are definitely excited for this one, so yeah, this may be something that I check out when it releases, or at the very least, maybe I might at least look into it. But either way, this was, as far as like the Directs go, this was definitely an exciting one. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get any confirmation on the next console on the Switch 2. It would have been cool if we could have gotten something for it. If nothing else, maybe just like a teaser. I think Nintendo did announce that they are at least working on it. I don't know if it was on Twitter or X that they said it, but I thought I saw somewhere that they did basically confirm that it is happening. So, and it sounds like it's supposed to come out next year. But it would have been cool, since it sounds like this is supposed to be the last Direct, I think, in the Switch's life cycle. It would have been cool if we could have gotten some kind of confirmation on that, but whatever. It is what it is. So either way, I mean, I'm sure probably what's going to happen is Nintendo's probably going to have at least one more Direct this year where we'll probably get like actual concrete footage of the Switch 2 and maybe some of the titles that are going to be on there. So we'll just have to wait and see. But either way, I think this was definitely a fantastic Direct. We got some really good games, coming down the pipeline. like I said, Mario and Luigi has me super excited. Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake is exciting, as well as 1 and 2 getting a remake as well. I want to pick up Luigi's Mansion 2. Echoes of Wisdom looks fantastic, and then Metroid Prime 4. I know a lot of people are really super pumped about that game. So, but yeah, I'm kind of curious. What did you guys think of the Direct? Are you guys as excited as I am about some of those titles like Mario and Luigi? And then also, just out of curiosity, should I go back and play the first 3 Metroid games, or just maybe watch some cutscenes on YouTube and just brush up on the story? I'll let you guys decide. All right, everyone, I think that's going to conclude tonight's episode. Once again, I'm on Anchor, Spotify, and YouTube. If you like what you heard, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Later.